Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Welcome to another episode of Fore Dads Podcast. We have a awesome guest today. We have Zach Neal here, the CEO and founder of GolfDads, and as many of you guys may know, he is a professional baseball player. He's here to join us today just to share some of his adventures and, just talk about sports with us. So thank you guys for attending. So Zach, why don't you start off by just, giving us a little bit of information about yourself. I mean, the first question is, how did you find your way from being a baseball player into golf?
Yeah. So I played professional baseball the last 13 years. But I played golf way longer than that. There was a point in high school where I almost considered, kind of banging baseball and going to golf. I was just always a big fan. It was a thing me and my dad would go do. So I grew up playing. Maybe 2 or 3 years old, he would take me out there. And so that's something I've always loved. The baseball thing's been good. Like I said, last year was my 13th year professionally. And now moving forward, I don't, hopefully hoping to play this next year too. But that's just, kind of wait and see game. But in the meantime and in the off season, like you said, I kind of dabble in this GolfDads business. I started it actually when I was playing over in Tokyo in Japan. I was in quarantine and was super bored and was just thinking of all the things that I wanted to do or, business opportunities and so forth. And that was kind of when the whole golf COVID buzz was going. Everybody was starting to play golf because it was the only thing that people could do. And so I thought of GolfDads, because one, I was a new dad myself. But in the past, like I said, growing up, it was something I did with my dad, and it was always a special thing for us. And I thought that was just such a cool niche group. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't really know, playing golf when you're not married and when you're single is something, but when you're playing golf and you got a kid at home and you had to run to your tee time and you're no range balls. I mean, 4 hours is all you get. So playing golf as a dad is different. So me and my buddies, we always called our foursome the Golf Dads or whatever. So I just came up with a logo and just slowly kind of pecking away at it. I'm not trying to go too fast or too slow. I'm just kind of seeing what comes to me. And obviously Julio from played golf a long time ago together. And that's kind of what golf does, man. It brings you together and make friends that you wouldn't make anywhere else.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I know for me, I recently became a dad last March. And right when we started posting those, we're expecting, those expecting pictures that everyone posts, incoming baby, all those little things. All of my, I'd say 8 or 9 of my teammates, same thing. Within that 3-month gap of me having my kid, 3 months before, 3 months after, 8 or 9 of my college baseball teammates all had kids right around that time. And it was just being a dad was it's we're not 25, 26, 27, where I feel maybe in the 90s is a little bit more common for younger to have kids at a younger age. But now I'm 31 going on 32, and now everyone's having their first kid. We're right around that too. So it was kind of weird that we all waited, not subconsciously, to all have kids at the same, getting married right around the same time.
Yeah.
And now, I feel there's so many more dads out there. And now that I'm a dad and we're all dads, I feel old, but I don't feel old at the same time. It's weird. It's a weird feeling, really. Just
I'll jump in and say something there. I actually now having a kid, I feel a little bit more youthful because I'm having to move around just as much compared to me sitting at my desk doing 12 hours of work or whatever. But also it makes me appreciate more the time that I do get to myself, because before that, it was when we were 20 something, we were playing video games. We were doing, going out and playing baseball, still trying to make something of our careers in the short time in which we had. And
go to the gym whenever you wanted.
Yeah, go to the gym at the
latest
of nights. Yeah, go to the gym at the latest of nights, and then you get back home, you still got to study for school. It's yeah, man, people don't talk about it, but being even like a college athlete, like it was a full-time job. I mean, there was no way, like for people who had kids, earlier, it's just like, hey, I tip my hat to you, man. Like that's something special. But even being, 30, 31 now and being able to enjoy this and be, I guess, be a kid at heart myself again. It's fun,
Yeah, you have an excuse for sure to be a kid, Yeah,
you're like,
but also, yeah, my son just started crawling, so I'm just on the ground with him, crawling around, hiding around corners, like playing with him, and it's just like, oh, I have an excuse now. And now I don't. I always act like a kid, but now at least I have an excuse to back that up. Play with my son. Leave me alone.
Changes your perspective on everything.
Mm-hmm.
It sure does.
That does,
yeah, man. Sure. And I'll say too, like, I mean, to what you said, I didn't know that that's kind of where the name generated from, but yeah, I mean, similar to you. I mean, baseball was my number one sport. I would go play golf with my dad and just whack balls at the range, and didn't really think anything of it until probably 7th grade was when I tried out for my middle school golf team. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was hitting driver on a par 3. Like I just, was like, I was like, what do I do here? But, I think that's a super sentimental meeting, man. Like that's awesome, and to share something a little bit more sentimental is like, I think us as men, as sons, we appreciate the times in which we had with our dads. And, a scary moment when the week before my daughter was born, my dad had 2 heart attacks. It was crazy. He had 2 heart attacks on the same day, and he had to go through like major surgery. And now it's like seeing him go from being my strict, very like by the law dad and everything, to now seeing him become this massive, just cuddle bear now with his granddaughter. It's like, it's crazy, dude. It's such a transition. And I think it gives you a whole nother perspective too, is like, transitioning from a son to now, husband to then a father. It's no one talks about it, but it's a one hell of an experience. Yeah, it only gets better as our kids get older.
Yeah, I tell everybody, man, like there's nothing that I've done that is as cool as that. Major League Baseball, playing sick golf courses, nothing matters. But what I was going to say is, I have visions for the company, down the road, and one of the things that I really want to try to do as it grows, hopefully, is because I was so lucky to have a dad that taught me golf and brought me up, in a great manner, and best dad I could ever ask for. There's a lot of kids that don't have dads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I want to take proceeds and portions of everything that GolfDads can try to generate and give it to nonprofits that help kids without dads.
Awesome.
Just to like, awesome. Yeah. So just to give like a little bit more like spawn to the company. You know what I'm saying? Like just a little bit, even more reason to buy a GolfDads hat, because, you're helping a kid out that doesn't even have a dad, but how lucky are we? So that's another like whole visionary plan of mine, down the road. And, it's hard. It's slow building a company and like spreading it out. Julio's done a great job in California with his buddies spreading the word, but it's slow, and it takes time.
Yeah.
But that's the ultimate, man, is to try to spin it enough to where I can generate a good profit and then kick back some to kids that aren't even as lucky to have a dad to take them out on Sunday to go play some golf. You know?
Right.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, speaking of, playing great courses, I see you got a pretty solid collection of flags back there, man. I mean, the first one I recognize is Colonial and Presidio, or I'm sorry, Pasatiempo. Pasatiempo, man, that course is immaculate.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to play there the other day. I guess it was November. We got to go out there. Yeah, that's my wall of fame, I guess you could say.
Dang.
I just do you just go into the pro shop and buy them, or do you take them off the course?
Yeah,
like 17th hole every course.
No. Yeah, that would add a different angle to it. Probably wouldn't be showing them if I did. No, most pro shops at the cool courses, they'll sell them. Yeah,
right. Yeah, imagine
Yeah,
I
I thought about it, I guess a couple of years ago. I started collecting them all, and then here I am. I got a whole garage wall full. I'm actually in my garage.
Yeah, I'll admit, I've taken a few off of a few courses that I've played that were like super good, and like all of a sudden, I actually had one guy. I was at La Costa Country Club in San Diego, and I was finishing up 16, which was like hidden behind like this little like hilly area, and all of a sudden the greenskeeper goes and goes, "Was there a flag on there when you guys left that hole?" And I looked at my buddies, all looked around. We were like, no, we were wondering. We just had to lock in on the flag stick.
You didn't swap it out with like a red or like a random one?
Nah, dude, no. Lacosta's, their flags have like the big logo with like the specialized design on. I actually have it in like my Scotty Cameron box and stuff. So
don't show us. You'll be incriminating yourself.
That's right. That's why it's in the box. Yeah, they'll be like, "Hey, I saw this podcast with Fore Dads, and this guy literally said he took it. We got to find out who he is."
I supposedly took it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll show it.
Yeah, man. So let me ask you this: so, in your time in Tokyo, did you get to play any golf out there? What's that like?
Dude, Japanese golf is crazy. So I only got to play a few times in 2021 over the All-Star break because 2019 I didn't have any clubs, and then 2020 was COVID, so you couldn't do anything. So I got to play 2021 All-Star break, and it is an experience. The courses we played were cool. They're like, it was probably an hour and a half drive outside of Tokyo, where a lot of them are, because obviously Tokyo, there's no space for anything. But I say it's an experience because it takes all day. So you have to imagine, like, it was an hour and a half to get there. Then you warm up or whatnot, and then you play 9 holes, and the 9 holes is probably 215, 230, 2.5, and then it's like mandatory you come in at 9 and have lunch. So then that's another hour and a half.
And they're like legit. And they're like legit lunches, right? They're not just like a sandwich or something like that. It's like a meal.
Like sit down, have your ramen, have your whatever it is you're having. You have a menu, and then like when you do that, they give you your new tee time. So you roll in at 11, you're teeing off at 12:45. So you have an hour and 45 until the back 9. And so and then the back 9 takes 2.5. Next thing you know, you've been there for 7 hours. So it's not like American golf where it's like everyone rushes there and plays as quick as they can just to leave. It's more of an experience, and they take the whole day to do it. But as you can imagine, I didn't get to play like the courses where they play the Zozo. But I got to play some cool ones. It was fun. Yeah, I got some cool Japanese clubs when I was over there, which was nice. Yeah, it was fun.
Is Homa really like the big company over there? Is it
got to be that like Rixon or like a Mizuno, right?
Like the ones like
there's some clubs out there. There's some clubs out there that are like not even heard of in America that literally are made by like samurai masters, and people pay like tens of thousands of dollars just for irons, like Homas. So I've seen some of the Homas that are from Japan, and literally in the shaft, you're talking about perfect graphite pieces of gold, real gold in the shafts that are sprinkled with like 14 karat gold on the driver head tops, everything. So you know how like right now the big shaft right now is the Autoflex shaft. Everyone is like, whoa, this thing is like amazing, right? It's so pure all the time. So Homa was making shafts that were similar technology, that it didn't matter if you played like a 3-star. A 3-star was like I believe it was like a regular flex or something like that. And then the 5-stars would get into like X's, but it was consistent no matter where you were. Like if you swung the club at 120 miles an hour, it felt like it was like a 7X 2.4 torque shaft. It was on time every single time because they were like hand woven all the way through, and people pay crazy amounts of money for them, bro. Crazy amounts of money.
I went with I got some Miura irons. I got 2 sets of those, which are great.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
But Mizuno,
hang on to those, baby. Those things are worth a lot of money.
I don't know.
Those things are.
They're cheaper over in Japan, actually, and they're different than
sure. The
stuff.
shipping and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I got some Miuras.
Well, I mean, yeah. Sorry, go for it.
Oh no, that's all I got. I mean, but yeah, they love it.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask, like, where you went, like, let's say the few golf courses that you went to in Japan, would you say those were high end, middle, or low? And regardless of where it was high, middle, or low, how would you compare that to a high, middle, or low in the United States? Like,
yeah, as in like quality of course and stuff.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I played in spring training in 2019, and that was great. It was a really, really nice course. And then 2022, we played a little bit north outside Tokyo. But I think their courses, like, I think it's pretty similar. The one thing I'll say in Japan, the golf is a little bit more expensive. Like, I think a green fee at your normal course might be a little bit more expensive than it would be here. You know, if you go play the local municipal, it might be more expensive.
Gotcha.
But you can go, I think in Japan, you can go like crazy, crazy expensive and nice. I wasn't able to play those, but they're there. You know, some of the top courses in the world are in Japan. And if it has Japan on it, if it's, you know, Japanese made, then you know it's going to be nice. And you know that just their culture and the way that they handle their business. So the courses are immaculate.
Dang, man.
For sure.
Did you learn any Japanese out there while you were there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
Man, that's nuts. I got an uncle who lives out there. He's probably been out there for about 5 years now, and he's an English teacher. You know, English learning out there, but like the Asian languages, like, even though they look somewhat similar in writing to us Americans who are really naive and we don't understand it, like, they're so complex. It's so crazy to like see those and hear them, and I can only imagine how difficult it might have been just to pick up a few things.
Extremely difficult. Extremely difficult, I will say. I think I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure their sentences are backwards. So, you know,
I know they read backwards. I know they read backwards compared to us, which is trippy.
And, you know, but, so you said, like, I'm going to play golf. It's like golf it's completely backwards the way you would say it. So, like, in Spanish, it's word for word, which was easier for my brain. But Japanese was completely different. So it was tough. But I ended up picking up a little bit, not to where I could go out and you know, handle myself on my own, but decent.
So I know in Tokyo, what you played at the MetLife, right? The MetLife Dome?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I went to Japan when I went to Tokyo to go play, I played in the Mountaineers Stadium, which was huge when I went over there for Team USA. But what was the capacity of the MetLife Stadium? Because from pictures, it looks enormous. Like the dome just looks huge.
I want to say maybe like, dude, I bet you they could get like 30,000 in there.
Okay. Yeah. That's pretty heavy. I mean, that's a pretty decent amount. But yeah, I was like, just from pictures, like I was like, wow, that place looks like a football stadium. Like it's just huge.
It's big. Yeah, it was huge. It was so hot. Yeah, it's really hot.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that in the Mountaineers Stadium. Like it gets toasty in there, dude. Like everybody's sitting so close. Like you would think like, okay, major league dugouts, like they're really spread out, but it was like Japanese dugouts are very confined, and everything just kind of goes into the field. And literally, like just like what Zach said, is like the way that they treat their courses, how they trim every little piece off the edges, the fringe is just perfect. It's the same thing with the baseball fields, dude. It is like no other field you ever play with. And I think the best thing that I got to experience when I was there was when we went to the baseball academies. I spoke about this in the past, like on one of our podcasts, but the baseball academies were insane, dude. Like here in America, we're protected when we throw bullpens. It's like, oh yeah, just go throw an 80 pitch bullpen. Dude, these kids at like 14 years old are throwing 200, 300 pitch bullpens all out, dude. And then they go play the next day. And then when you're going to an academy that's like for baseball, it's 6 hours of baseball with like 2 hours of arithmetic and language, or, you know, whatever it may be. It's insane, man. When you talk about parents trying to like get your life in place at a young age, it starts right there. Like if you're bred for it, they're going to find a way to make you successful.
They love baseball for sure. But it's a great culture, great country. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Who was it? Like was it Daisuke Matsuzaka? Was like before. What's the guy from the Angels right now? The two-way guy. I'm blanking.
Shohei.
Before Shohei, I think it was Daisuke, who I think came from Japan as well. I think
Ichiro too, right?
What?
Oh yeah.
What he did?
Ichiro too, right?
Yeah, well, Ichiro, but I mean pitcher wise.
Oh yeah, pitcher.
I remember.
Yeah.
I think it was Daisuke Matsuzaka. He was saying the first few starts that he had at Boston, he was like really surprised, like how small the dugouts were. Because I've never been to Japan. I've never been to a baseball game in Japan. But he would throw his bullpens in the dugout, like before the game. And like, would you say that like some of the dugouts were that big, or was that just like someone's blowing some smoke up?
They have their most. He's probably talking like their bullpens are they're like right underneath by the dugout usually.
You know I thought literally like you'd be sitting down like watching the game, and someone in front of you just throwing.
They're like underneath.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot more sense. All these years I've been thinking that, and all these years I've been wrong. Okay. All right.
Crazy.
Well, I got a question. Really quick, I got a question for you, Zach. So just a little bit about yourself. Like, where are you from, and like, where'd you play high school, college, and things like that? I'm interested just to hear.
For sure, yeah. So right now I live in Fort Worth, Texas, right downtown.
Okay.
My wife and my little girl. That's so this is where we call home now. I grew up 45 minutes north of here in a little town. It's not so little anymore, I guess. A little town called Flower Mound, Texas. And so I went went there for high school. My freshman year of college, I went to Sam Houston State, little school in East Texas. Sophomore year, I went to Howard, junior college in West Texas. Junior year, I went to Oklahoma. Got drafted out of Oklahoma as a junior. I went back there and graduated. So I'm a Sooner.
What year were you at Oklahoma?
2010.
Okay. I pitched against them in 2013 versus what's his name? Jonathan Gray. Me and Jonathan Gray.
Yeah. So that was like the wave after me.
Okay.
And then drafted by the Marlins in 2010 and was with them.
Okay.
Went to Oakland. Was with them for 6 seasons. I was with the Dodgers in 2018. And then went to Japan for 3 years, and then last year I was with the Rockies. So yeah.
Wow, man, you've been around. That's one thing about professional sports, unless you're, and I'm not saying this in a mean way, I hope not, but unless a Tom Brady, the best of the best, even then, you move from town to town, you city to city. You're not going to have a career. It's not like back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. If you get drafted there, you're staying there. You follow the money. You're limited so much on your career to get as much as you can in such a limited amount of time. That, I don't blame any of the players for leaving. Hey, you got to get what you can because it's not a 40, 50-year career,
Right, yeah.
And all these injuries that could pile up could, pay out. You need so much money to even just, maintain your body, on a daily basis. And, that's one thing that sucks is, a lot of players, I'm sure you experience it firsthand, that, home is something that, is so temporary when it comes to the baseball side of things. I'm sure Fort Worth is home, but man.
Yeah, so Fort Worth, we built this in 2019, and I had for the last since we built it, I had only been here for 3 months of the year. I was over in Japan for 9 or 10 months a year. So it finally just now is starting to get stuff how I want it, and feel like home. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I look for, in my next chapter of life is what can I do to actually have a home?
Mm-hmm.
What can I try to do?
Golf simulator, dude.
Yeah, right.
Golf simulator.
Yeah.
Golf simulator. You got to put one in. Yeah. That's going to make it really feel like home.
I got to find some more room for that. But yeah.
Just go get one of those tough shits from Home Depot, fit it perfectly, and then just get yourself a little foresight.
I can't swing in like you go to a Club Champion or something like that. We just talked about that.
I
can't swing on turf. I can't swing in a simulator. Can't do it.
I'm so mentally effed up with that, man.
Yep.
I just can't do it.
We just talked about that.
With
That's
irons.
So funny.
I got fitted on it. And I'm like, dude, I can't hit off of. It just f's with my mind because I'm like, don't. Yeah, I hear you.
It's mats only before the round. I'm out.
Yeah.
John's literally the same.
Driver only for me. Driver only is the only time. Like I'll hit off the driver, but it's not going to give me what I need to know. Am I chunking it too much or am I thinning it? Like
it's all fake.
I don't know.
It's all fake.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Mats are fake.
That's so funny. Yeah. So John mentioned kind of brings us into another topic here. He mentioned about the health in which you need to keep yourself to perform at your best and being a professional athlete. So I want to ask you as a professional baseball player, what are your thoughts on the MLB not testing for PEDs anymore? Do you think it's going to have a positive or negative effect on the?
What do you mean? They don't test anymore?
No, they stopped as of 2020.
Really? That's news to me. You need to go to GNC.
So that's why even right now with the whole thing with Carlos Correa, right, and how he went with the Giants, then all of a sudden they let him go because of things. So teams, it will still show up on test, but teams won't publicly come out and say like, oh yeah, he has PEDs. But the whole thing is because of his back. So if there's PEDs in his system, probably to rehabilitate it, but they're not putting effect on anybody, which was kind of weird when they went after Tatis, because everyone was like, well, wait a minute, I thought you guys weren't testing anymore. Why all of a sudden is he being affected by it? But it's, that I recently heard about it. I was reading about it too. And I was like, wow,
I had no idea.
Really
I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
I had no idea you could so you can just take whatever you want.
I don't know. So there wasn't that much detail. I don't know if it's like, like Jose Canseco and like taking what you want, but I think they're lightening up on some of the pre-workouts or maybe even some of the rehab stuff that you may be taking to get your muscles back faster. I think they're lightening up on that because they are realizing like, shit, like these guys play 162 games a year. Some of these guys never take a break. Like if you're talking about a guy like Dustin Pedroia, his career probably could have gone a lot further if he might have taken something that was helping him a little bit more, because you look at football guys will go ahead and get shots right on the side to like numb the pain. You see it in college, you see it in the NFL, right? That's why they brought up the whole tents. It's all about the money. And obviously the player is is the associate that's making all of it. So if you're doing something to try and keep a star player, why not? I mean, everyone says the most exciting time in baseball was during the steroid era where you had Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, Jose Canseco, Palmeiro, freaking all these guys who were just dropping monster bombs. And the game has even tried to bring it back by tightening up the balls, relaxing on what they call juice bats, like the kind of the deep or the depth of the cork on top can go a little bit further now, so you can get a little bit more pop out of it. Also making a bigger barrel, like all these different things. The MLB has adjusted so many rules, and it's like and I think now they just got into a point where it's like if home runs put butts in seats, like, hey,
but
it's that person's choice. Like if they want to let their body deteriorate,
I don't really know the extent of what they're testing for and what they're not at this point. I know that teams nowadays, they do a pretty good job with like supplements and stuff like that and all the legal stuff. I know we got tested last year all the time. So I know if you were taking like Winstrol or, anabolic steroids, you definitely would have got popped. And, that's kind of what Tatis got in trouble for. But I know in 2020, I think it was after the Tyler Skaggs incident where he was sadly passed away on, I think it was fentanyl and some other like pills.
Yeah.
MLB and MILB have stopped testing for marijuana and now test for pills. So they gave kind of like switched that to where, hey, maybe we should test for something that can kill these players and not something that, kind of give them an avenue of some, I'm not saying that like, it's healthy or whatnot, but compared to the alternative, that's probably the right way to go. So I know they did that, but I think that's a great start. But as far as it is a long season, so I mean, if you were able to take some stuff, that would help. It's hard. Man. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I had a few friends who played college ball that, they were taking some stuff on the side, but like I think John and I have talked about this too, where the trainer would say, hey, if you guys are on anything, like you have a month before the test, so get that shit out of your system. And it was like totally fine. Like, hey, we get it. You guys are trying to do stuff, to keep yourself competing at that level. But yeah, like I just looked at it right now just to make sure that like I was asking the right information. It says yes. Yeah. It says for the first time in nearly 20 years, due to the expiration of sports and drugs, agreements have come that there will be no more steroid testing in the MLB.
Wow.
Dude, that's crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah. So it was just and my date was wrong. It was actually December 1st of 2021 that this came into effect at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That's crazy. That's crazy news. I had no idea.
Yeah. Right. So I'm reading the whole thing. It's literally like the MLB and the union declared at that moment they will put a halt to it. No more. So I was like, and then it says, and then it goes on to say, like, just as of last month, Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens were denied election, but will be reevaluated to be voted into the Hall of Fame in the next 2 years.
Yeah, you gotta get those guys in, man.
Dude, you got to get Barry Bonds in. I mean, okay, look, I get it. Like, PEDs are not.
Oh, 100%.
Yes, definitely Pete Rose for sure. That's
100%.
That's the number one. But I mean, still, Barry Bonds, one of the greatest hitters of all time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest asshole off the field, probably on the field too. But still, regardless, like the guy could freaking break, and you just got to tip your hat to it and say, "Hey, man, you did what you had to do." But God, was it exciting watching you play?
Yeah, I mean, I always said too, like steroids don't make you hit the ball.
Yep.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, I hate Barry Bonds, and I say the same thing. I'm like, he had that's that hand-eye coordination you can't teach. No, like you can get better at some extent, but like it's not going to. I mean,
and the funny thing about Pete Rose now too is like he got in trouble for gambling.
Now it's legal.
DraftKings is like MLB's biggest sponsor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's legal in Ohio now. It's legal in Ohio where he played at Cincinnati. Like I think he was like the first person to make a bet. Like when like the clock struck midnight for like December 1st, he made a bet
that was all over Barstool.
The Reds were going to win a World Series or whatever. And it's like, I get the only thing that I get of, maybe not totally banning them, but like betting on a team that you're on or on a game that you can affect, I feel like would be something that's kind of like more of a gray area. I'm like, I don't really think that's all right. But if you're playing and like you're on the Dodgers, but the Rockies are in the World Series and you bet on that game. Okay. Like what effect are you going to have on that game?
Right.
But
even
if
still,
everyone else is betting,
if I'm pitching and I bet that we're going to win, like that's what is wrong with that? Like, that's still the same incentive I want to, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't saying the Reds are going to lose in the World Series and like
throwing it. Right. Yeah. True.
He just has faith.
Yeah.
And to add to that, baseball is a completely different sport compared to where if you were a dictating player in basketball, where you could cover a spread. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we have to win by 4. All of a sudden, you're missing shots, knowing that the ball's coming to you every time. Or, oh, this person, we're going to lose by 2, but then you upset the difference by winning by 3. Now, all of a sudden, the person who's betting against you, if you bet against your own team, now you win. baseball is not that kind of sport where one person can do that. And
baseball is so many different things. You know,
you can't control it.
It's so hard to
control. Right.
And here's the other thing too, like what Zach just said. If he's a pitcher, right, and let's just say Zach decides to be that one guy who wants to bet against himself in a big game, dude, managers are going to pull you before you can even make an effect for it. Then someone else is going to come in and be like, Zach's going to get his ass chewed out in the dugout. The next guy's going to come in and be like, hey, buddy, I got you. And then what's Zach going to say under his breath? Like, fucking piece of shit. Like, no. Baseball is one of those sports that is fully a team sport, and everyone's contribution matters. You know, where it gets individual is when the ball is hit to you. So maybe it could be different if, like, you know, you had Jose Altuve, right, at second base, knowing that, oh shit, this team hits to the right side all game, and he were to place a bet and he purposely, like, oh, I tripped over my shoelace, I laid that,
right,
that could be different. But yeah, I mean, I still feel like even then coaches would be like, dude, you're having an off day, get out of here. Like,
a lot of there's too many variables to try to control.
Way too many variables.
Right.
To
do. NBA, where you can get the ball, every possession, or at least have some impact every possession. How often you going to, unless you play first base or you're a catcher or you're a pitcher, you're going to see the ball all the time. How often you going to get a ground ball to third base? How often you going to get a ball in the center field? You know, like how often you can't say, hey, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, runners on first and second, hit it to me, I'll drop it. You're like, okay, like that's easier said than done. Even if you know the pitch, how are you going to do that? Like
but then that goes back to like the Black Sox with Shoeless Joe Jackson, that whole team. Everybody was in on it.
Everyone but Shoeless Joe, but he still got screwed out.
Yeah, except Shoeless Joe. But I mean, still, it's like it goes back to that. Like exactly what Zach just said. There's way too many variables. You can never be able to do it. So you know, and everyone always makes the joke. I'm sure every single one of us have heard this in the dugout. Like, don't be an eye guy, right? Don't be that guy. So it's like, there it is. You already have teammates that are like, dude, don't do that.
Right.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I understand from the money side of where the MLB wants to be and how they feel that it's going to be done. But man, I got to say, some of the money that some of these guys are getting paid is like crazy. I mean, to have that type of cash reserved is wow.
I mean, it just shows you that. I mean, to me, you know, it's great for the players too, but what it shows me is how much money these teams are making.
Oh yeah, sure.
The economics of a baseball team to where you can pay $250 million a year on a payroll and still be in the green is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, their margins are pretty nice. The baseball, they're doing just fine.
Yeah. It's not like the NFL where like your entire contract is based off of like the number of jersey sales that you get, like how many butts you specifically are putting into the seat based off of like what you give. It's like baseball is super generous. I had a friend that I went to high school with who was drafted by the Seattle Mariners, the New York Yankees. And I remember talking to him over around the golf at Fig Garden as well too. And he was like, bro, he's like, I have guaranteed money. He's like, it doesn't even matter if like if I'm giving my tickets to my parents, like, you know, how many jerseys I sell. He's like, it is like, here's your 10 million. Just perform for us, do your thing, and make sure you stay clean shaven. Nothing more but a mustache.
Right.
Like, literally, it's crazy.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, that I think kind of going back to golf, what the Live Tour has done to the PGA is kind of called out their margins as well.
Exactly.
But hey, you know what? Obviously, you can't compete with Saudi oil money. Nobody can. Like they win, they win all the time. But I think what it's done is say, hey, all right. Like we can pay you guys a little more if you win.
Right.
Maybe we've been hoarding a little bit too much, and our margins
call their bluff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like you saw this week with the Century Tournament of Champions, the person that I think John Rahm made like 2.8, where in previous years that's like, I don't know what it was last year, but I know that it wasn't 2.8.
No, yeah, right. You know?
So like
it's kind of like, the MLB, like it's like the the MLB calling out the A's. Like, come on, I know you guys have money. Don't act like you guys don't have money. Because I think who was it? Josh Donaldson, like might have been 5-10 years ago now, but he's like right before he left, he's like, they got money. Yeah. I know they have money. Like they just don't want to use it. Like every owner is a billionaire. Regardless,
that was my argument with the last CBA that just happened last year with the lockout. Everyone wants luxury tax on the highest. They want to tax the Dodgers for spending the most.
Mm-hmm.
You should be taxing the bottom teams for not spending.
Make them pay. Yeah.
You should have to spend $150 million minimum, whatever the bar might be. But you have to spend it, and if you don't, then you pay the tax. I don't think you should penalize teams for spending money and trying to win.
Right.
What incentive is that?
Mm-hmm.
But you have teams like Oakland. You have teams, the Rays. The Rays are really good, but they don't spend any money.
India or Guardians now, same thing. They got as far as they did, but they are like probably like the 28th or 29th team on the
which
totem
is
pole.
Cool. I like that. I like teams that can win and not spend money. And they have their crazy algorithms and they have their formula for players they like.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the weird thing in the CBA. All the fuss was, let's get mad at teams spending money. Those teams should be able to spend whatever they want.
It's their team. It's their money. And I agree. Like especially since there's no salary cap for baseball, which I love. I think there shouldn't be salary caps, honestly, in any professional sport anymore. This isn't 1940s where I own a 7-Eleven and I own the LA Dodgers. Because I can afford it back then. And then I'm going up against a Jeff Bezos, who owns the Yankees and he can buy everything. So you don't need to make it all the same so everyone has the same chance. Every team is owned by a billionaire. So like they have the money and there doesn't need to be a salary cap. If they want to go cheap, they might lose some fans. They might lose some coverage. They might lose some money because they're not spending. But why? I mean, I think one of the issues that they also said was like too many powerhouses that were becoming, like the Cowboys back in the 90s. Who else was in the 90s? Well, regardless, that was one of the reasons why the NFL created the salary cap. But you look at the MLB and look at like the past champions, and it's so hit or miss. It's not like back to back to back to back, or like 4 in a row a team will make it a World Series.
That goes back to your variables.
Yeah, exactly. With baseball too. I mean, it's definitely an outlier, but
Dodgers are the best team in baseball and lost.
They got smacked.
Was it?
I think the division.
Just this last year.
Yeah, it was the division series. Best record of all time. Can't even get out of the first round. That just shows you baseball's weird. It's weird.
Well, even the year before with the Giants, it was the same thing. The year before that with the Giants had won the most amount of games in baseball history. Then the Dodgers come and do it the next year, but it's the same thing. They couldn't get out of the first. They couldn't get out of the first round.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's y'all's team out there?
Mine is the Giants. I'm diehard.
That's right.
Everything.
Giants,
Niners. I will say hockey wise, I am a big Detroit Red Wings fan. I went to the stadium. I just fell in love with the team. I was like, wow, this is hockey. This is fun.
Oh, of course, out there, right.
In San Jose, it's a lot like politics. It's like, hey, if there's any rowdiness, we're putting a stop to it right out the gate. Where I went to that game, dude, there was like 7 fights over nothing. Some guy like sneezed on a dude and got
yeah.
And I love it too because like Little Caesars was like my go-to in college, and to be in Little Caesars pizza and to taste the real Detroit Little Caesars pizza, man,
level.
It doesn't even compare. It doesn't even compare to California.
Oh, man.
That is real pizza over there. That is real pizza. I mean, even when I went to Chicago too, and it was like my wife and I sat down, we had our first real deep dish. I looked at it and I was like, "The hell is this?" And all of a sudden I eat it. It's just my mouth.
It's good. Yeah. Did we play golf in Fresno? Right.
Yeah. So I was going to tell you that course now is actually no longer in existence anymore.
Oh man, that stinks. I remember it being a pretty good try.
So the son took over it. The son took over the house, or I'm sorry, took over the golf course, and he decided to sell it for property development. But little did he know that. I mean, and I think you asked this when we played, when we were coming along the 12th hole, because the river's right there. You're like, dude, does this water ever run up here? And I'm like, all the time. if it dumps, and especially like what California's experiencing right now, I guarantee
Terrible.
that whole course is underwater right now.
Yeah, it's
Even
like a
the clubhouse.
floodplain, right?
Yeah, it is. But yeah, so I was gonna say, I remember on the first tee, it was like I don't think either one of us had even hit any shots. We just walked out there. But John has a great story where he nuked the ball to like maybe 40 yards at the hole. But I was gonna say Zach hit like a 3-wood on that first hole to like 15 yards in front of the green, hits like a great chip and makes a birdie. He just looks at me and goes, "It might be a pretty good day today."
Yeah.
I was like in the trees on the right, got over the high trees, hit off the back, chipped.
I think it was a good year. That was so long ago. I have the worst memory. The worst.
Dude.
I just remember because I literally told my dad, I was like, "Dad, I played with a Major League Baseball player. Like, this guy named Zach Neal. Like, he's the coolest dude. Like, you know," I was like, I think I might even go to the game tonight. I didn't end up making it, but I was just like, "Oh man, like that was so cool." And
That was a good
it
time.
was just yeah, it was. I mean, we were sitting there talking about everything. I think the whole round we were just sitting there walking and talking the whole time. It was an awesome round.
You guys got to come to Texas. We have some good golf here.
Dude,
I know, man.
Those good boys, they really expose you guys for the great courses you guys have out there.
Yeah,
For sure, especially
Micah and
Grant.
Yeah, I don't really keep up with that as much. Where do they usually play?
Oh, dude, I don't even know.
I mean, I feel like they go all over. I think one of them's
Yeah.
from Florida, one's from Texas. I think that Micah guy's from Texas. I don't
I think he lives in Fort Worth too.
really.
He's like a blue collar dude. He like owns like a general contracting business or something like that. But now he's like trying to go on tour.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
He just did he just did like a matchup against Bryson DeChambeau out over there because they both live out in Texas, and so
Oh, dude.
yeah,
Let me look that up.
I mean, the kid's good. The kid's really good.
Yeah, he's legit. He's definitely legit.
Everybody else that was on that show.
What's the dude's name?
The kid can't close.
It's-
Micah Morrison.
Yeah.
Micah Morris.
I think Morris. Yeah, Micah Morris.
Yeah, check him out on YouTube.
You usually go. I think he has like a ponytail. He usually goes with or
He's
like
got
a
a man bun.
Man bun.
Okay. Respect
It's
that.
like a shorter version of Tarzan.
Tarzan's younger brother.
Yeah, I'm gonna see where they play that. We got a bunch of good ones over here.
Yeah.
That'd be
I was
dope,
telling
dude.
John about this one time. I went out to Florida with my wife, or actually, I was in Miami with my wife, and I went to this one course out in Fort Lauderdale. That was it was called. Oh my God! Why am I blanking?
Not Trump National. No.
No, I played that one, but I played this other one that was in a Jewish like living community. Okay. And what was so crazy about it was that I was the only brown person in the entire area. I remember I was walking the course and like this lady is walking on the hole next to me. She just like looks at me and was just like, what are you doing out here?
What?
And I was like, and then I didn't realize like where I was, but I was just like, I talked to my Uber driver after and I was like, hey, where are we? He goes, oh, he's like, yeah, this is like a huge Jewish Federation, like community out here. He's like, did you get some looks out there? And I was like, I sure did. He goes, I got some looks driving out because I'm black. And I was like, what? No way.
Oh
But,
my.
oh my God. The good boys played it, but the course is literally like 8,500 yards. It's
Jeez.
crazy, dude.
Wow.
It's crazy. That was the only reason why I went out there was because I saw it on Golf Now and they had a deal and it was like $43. But I saw the length of the course and I was like, I gotta go do this. I gotta go try this out. But then, the next day I went and played. Trump National Doral, and that was great.
Yeah,
I
that's
got
sweet.
to play. I got to play the Blue Monster, the Red Tiger, and there's one more. I think it's like the Golden Palm Tree or something like that. Played all three of them, and it was, dude.
Man, that's sweet.
You want to talk about experience? Like, sure, Japan and Tokyo golf is one thing, but man, just the luxury of like walking in, you're greeted with like a lavender towel that says, "Oh, welcome! Like your tea time's all set up here. I'll take your bags." And then you go inside of the clubhouse, and there's just like gold plated everything everywhere, and you're like, even the urinals were gold, and you're like, what's on this thing or what? But the cool thing about that day that I went, Donald Trump was there because it was the day of the inauguration.
No
So
way.
there was a Secret Service everywhere. Like it was crazy. Like going towards where like Donald's suite was at, they like had you get out of your cart, put your hands up, they wanded you, did everything, and then before you got to the range, they did it again. It was insane, dude. I was just like, whoa, like what's going on right here? And then all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, the inauguration's today. You know, and there he was. He was there. Nuts.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
well,
In their clubhouse, their clubhouse it's 2 stories, and they have 3 full fitting bays inside of the clubhouse, like with all the top end clubs. So like they had like PXGs there, they had Mizunos, they had Callaways, like everything that you could think of. And all the guys in the pro shop are super knowledgeable. They're cool, and they'll be like, oh yeah, you want to get fitted for something? Like here you go.
Yeah,
I just want to hit this
way, right?
Yeah, yeah. I used to work with Callaway back in the day.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah. That was some good times. That was nice not having to pay for golf and then not having to pay for clubs.
right? Right?
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be a good combo.
Dude, I even tried at one point, like I didn't try. I marshaled out the course that's like in my front yard here just because I was like, I don't want to pay for golf. Like, but with work and everything, and then I was taking meetings from my phone out on the course in the cart, and also my boss was like, "Hey man, I know we said you can work remote, but we can't have you like hitting golf balls on customer calls and stuff." I was like, "I'm not hitting golf balls. I'm making sure that the people who are hitting golf balls stay with pace." Yeah, dude. Golf is. I just can't believe how expensive it's getting now. Like yesterday I literally went to Golf Mart just to get out of the house for a little bit. And dude, SM9 wedges are like $139. I remember back in the day when wedges were like $89.
Wait, what?
Like,
Titleist?
Yeah, Titleist.
No. They're like 179 now. New.
Oh my god. Well, still, I saw the SM9s and I was like, these are still pretty new. I was like, 139? That's insane.
Yeah,
dude.
I don't know if it's sustainable, man. I think a lot of it is still you're riding that wave of a lot of new people playing from COVID, and so I think manufacturers and courses and stuff are taking advantage of strike while the iron's hot. But I mean, if you've played golf as long as I have, like it's a super annoying game, and I don't think a lot of people are going to stick with it as much as they might seem. So maybe in a couple of years the craze will kind of die down just a touch because it is such a fickle game, and I couldn't imagine like just picking it up. That would be so tough.
Oh my gosh!
Dude, so the new Callaway driver, I forget what the name is.
It's like the Phenom,
I know. Phenom or Paradigm.
Paradigm.
Yeah, the Paradigm just dropped yesterday, and dude, the driver with the shaft that comes in it is like $899.
Now, and the thing with Callaway, even if it's an amazing club, they're swapping out a brand new one in
every
5-6 months. So like that's going to drop like
they just changed the paint on it.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Literally, it's the same thing as the Rogue. But apparently, like the guys were, they were geeking out and they were telling me like, oh no, they use like this new reinstated like carbon fiber that is it's lighter, so you can really get after the ball. And I was like, they said the same thing with the driver that was designed by Boeing too. Like, it's all the same technology. It's all the same technology. And John and I talked about this too. Is like every year they were promising, oh yeah, you'll get like another 5 yards. I'm like, I should only be playing with like a 7-iron off the tee box at this point. And,
right.
Wedges should be like 150. I should be hitting the ball like a Berkshire right now. With all this distance guaranteed. Come on.
Yeah, right.
It's not guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah, man. But so we're getting to the end here, man. Thank you so much for your time. This was awesome. At the end of this, we really want, to help promote your Golf Dads as well as what your aspirations are for it. Mm-hmm. If you can just provide us with the information as far as like your website, like if you have like a donation page for what you're building out, like we'd love to put that in the credits after. after this, and if there's anything that we can contribute to, like, please send it to us personally. Be more than happy to contribute in any way. Man. I mean, first off, I love the logo. I think the logo is
sick logo.
Badass.
Nailed it.
I get complimented. I get compliments from it every time I go. They're like, dude, where'd you find that? Like, you just became dude. People here in California love it. Like, they're like, I love that hat. That's sick. Now, when I wore the other ones that you had with Imperial, one of my buddies who's like, he's a swag guy, right? He loves to wear golf swag like you and I do. He's all geeked out about it. He's like, dude, go back to the old logo. Go back to the old logo. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, he's like, the 3D logo where it's coming out at you. He's like, that's sick. He's like, the flatter one, you could just tell that it's like, just put it. And I was like, all right, I'll let my buddy know. You know?
So that's one of the things that this company Puka, this is OG, like original. It's super faded and gross. Yeah. But that's one thing that they did. And actually I posted it the other day because like their logo next to the Imperial hats, I got the Imperial hats on just like I think it was Cyber Monday, so they're running a special. So I designed them and, just for fun, just to have, I just have inventory. But the Puka logo, the way they did that with, you can really get in there and design the thread colors with them and came out super good. I had one of my buddies, one of my good friend's brothers designed my logo for a bottle of tequila. He sent me like,
sick.
Yeah. I mean, I was doing all this in Japan just by myself, just, for fun. And it still is for fun. Let me make sure Instagram name. I don't want to like misspell it or mispronounce it, but make sure I got all the underscores right. Yeah.
I'll definitely be dropping links and stuff on the page right now. So like when they're watching it,
Instagram is just _golf_dads. Pretty simple.
Right.
And then the website that has everything on there is cowtowngolfclub.com. Cowtown is that's what we call Fort Worth.
Nice.
So that's just based out of my garage. I mean, all this stuff's right over here. Somebody orders it, I ship it. You can message me on GolfDads and I'll ship it out. That's probably that's an easy way, but the website's good too. If you wanted to order stuff there. So I'm just pecking along. It's super tough. And as you know, with a kid, not a lot of free time. I mean, my mornings right now are just still training and throwing, and then potentially spring training and, starting in like a month and a half, beginning of like end of February, hopefully. So whatever free time I do have, I just make some cool Golf Dad stuff, and the t-shirts are on there. The t-shirts are super easy. You can go on there. There's a bunch of them. Like, let me ask the wife, because that's the only way you can play these days for me.
Yeah.
Hey, what day is good this week? I don't know, man. Let me ask my wife.
Right.
Yeah. For sure, man.
It's just a company for dads, dude.
Yeah.
I love it.
Just like this is a podcast for dads. Just like this
Fore
is a
Dads
podcast for dads, man. We just want to talk about sports. We just started bringing people on. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we had my buddy on here he's a teacher and he's a fitter. We wanted to just ask like, hey, what's the importance of fitting? Why is it that people really should, just trying to pass that name out there. Cause like you said, right now, the COVID hype of golf is still climbing.
Yep.
I feel like personally, to kind of add to that, once Tiger says, hey man, I'm done. I'm just caddying for Charlie now. The game's just going to take a huge hit because there's no other exciting player. In my personal opinion, no one
brings that.
No one brings the game.
No.
Yeah.
There's no one out there dominating, and then now you have this. Now you have like this hatred war between the old man who loves to watch golf on Sundays, and then you got the new rock star Gen Z kid coming up who's like, dude, live tour is the shit, man. I love to go over there and just get fucked up at these shows, right? Like. It's what it is. It's
they have to collab, right? They have to collab.
They have to. Eventually. It's got to.
Yeah.
It's got to.
There's got to be a coalition there with those two. I mean, it just stinks to like have all those top players get picked from the PGA, but Hey, I still watch.
Right?
I still watch the PGA every week.
Yeah,
all day.
I mean, it's more consistent.
I still go watch Live on
right.
YouTube TV.
Yeah,
that's the only place you can go watch it.
I'm throwing that on too for sure.
Yeah. And the one thing I will say is like, Live is giving the PGA Tour the facelift that is needed for a long time. Like you see their leaderboard and how it's all colorful and like loud and it's moving as the field is moving. Like it's all real time. It's super sick. Like I love that. But also too is like me and John were talking in the last or a couple podcasts ago talking about how at the Masters this year, how do you think they're going to police Live Tour players with PGA players? And I told him, dude, if I'm on the Live and I'm talking about guaranteed money, I'm over there headhunting people. Hey, come on over, come on, like you got to, man, you got to. Yeah,
but don't you think like by now, like those offers have been made and those guys have made up their minds?
That money, I mean, money talks, dude.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing that will never change. Money talks, regardless. I mean, even JT was talking about like, you know, with Barstool when he was saying, you know, who said they didn't offer me anything? He's like, I just didn't publicize it. He's like, this is the first time I'm really talking about it.
Yeah,
but it's like, you know, for JT, I think he's trying to play the corporate game because first off, he already got screwed by saying, you know, the offensive word in which he said, you know, that lost him polo and all this other stuff to where now he's just starting to kind of get his feet back under him to where people are like, oh, you know, like, okay, JT's still a good guy. I don't think he wants to burn any more bridges, you know? And even that, I think that whole thing was completely blown out of proportion. It's not like he said it to somebody. He's saying it to the damn ball, you know?
We can go on a whole nother podcast with that. Now I hear
I got a whole lot of opinions on polo and that whole situation.
I
do too.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe it's leading into an episode too, man.
Heck yeah. Why not?
Let's do it. I got all sorts of opinions on that.
Yeah, for sure. But all right then, man. Well, yeah, I know we've already gone for the hour. So again, everyone, thank you so much for attending. We, you know, please give us a follow, give us a subscription or a subscribe on YouTube. Everyone, if you're watching this, we're gonna post all of Zach's links in after this podcast. Get on over there, get yourself some sick Golf Dad swag. Even if you're not a dad, it's a great way it's a great gift to give to your own dad. We all heard about the sentimental value that comes with the name. We've all been that kid that's playing with their dad on a weekday or on a weekend. Like, pass it along. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it growing. Thank you again for attending, and you know, we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, good. No problem.
You got it, man. Take care, brother. Have a good one.
Alrighty.